Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So welcome to another market open stream. Sorry, I'm a little bit late, but there's a lot to talk about. I had to digest this interview. Do Kwon of Luna breaks his silence. There was a lot to go over, so we'll talk about that, of course, and of course, talk about Bitcoin and crypto. Where are both going to head this week? What's the direction, up or down? Let's get started. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com and make sure you follow brand new channels. Good morning, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Edwin, thanks for being a member. So let's do this. The market bell already rung, so the market already open for about 5-6 minutes. You could see that in the US, it's about even. It looks negative. There's a couple of things that Wall Street is reacting to. But you look at NASDAQ is basically at zero. Dow's at negative 150. S&P 500 is down only 0.41%, right? And people are wondering if this rally can continue. We had 4 straight weeks of S&P gains. You could argue the same thing for Bitcoin and crypto, but you could see even with a slight fall, Bitcoin is still holding above 24,000, 24,100. Last night, it got interesting because Bitcoin went above 25,000, took a little break, so we're still kind of hovering right around 24,000. That's okay, because not too long ago, a week ago, we were hovering around 23,000. And a week ago, before that, we were hovering 22,000, right? So hovering is okay. We're making slow and steady gains upwards. That's what we want to see. So as for this week, though, where can Bitcoin and crypto go? Well, in terms of economic data in the U.S., there's a few things that may affect the market. I mean, I talked about this last night or yesterday. The FOMC minutes that's coming out on Wednesday, that may affect things, although the last two didn't do much because there was no surprises that came out of it. But this basically recaps what Powell and the FOMC Board of Governors, what they decided at the last meeting. And they raised rates by, 75 basis points, and that was it, right? So hopefully nothing comes out of there. I mean, other than that, you got retail sales, you got some building permits, jobless claims. These are, important economic data, but it shouldn't sway the market one way or another too much, unless something horrible happens. I don't know. I saw someone tweeted this, that the consumer confidence index is basically the lowest it's ever been. Since its inception, I guess back in the 1970s, consumer index is the lowest ever. But why is this important? Well, usually when you have these large dips in confidence, that's usually a bottom indicator. So when there's a lot of fear out there, when there's a lot of panic out there, well, that's usually when you want to buy, right? But things are improving. They have been for the last few weeks, few months, you could argue, right? So still kind of surprising that this index is still so low, which is even below the 2008 housing bubble, the .com 2000 bubble, and even the COVID crash. I mean, we are below all those times right now, so think about that. And this has a lot of bankers trying to guess if there's more room to grow. Are we actually in recovery or no? Well, you got two major banks that are disagreeing. Morgan Stanley feels like we're on the last leg of a kind of like a bull trap, like a relief rally. And the second half of this year, we're ready in the second half, by the way, is going to be horrible. Things are going to sell off majorly. That's what Morgan Stanley thinks. JP Morgan, on the other hand, says, no, I think we can continue further on, right? So I'm with JP Morgan on this. Not that I agree with a lot of things from JP Morgan or Jamie Dimon, but I do think the stock market and crypto market definitely has more room to grow, has more legs. I don't think it's going to suddenly reverse within the last 4 months or 3.5 months of this year. Keep in mind, normally the markets do well around the end of the year too, around Christmas time, so we got that to look forward to, a Christmas rally, right? We haven't had a Christmas rally in quite some time. Maybe we'll get something like that this year, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so that's in terms of what's coming this week. Can Bitcoin swing upwards? Can we see more recovery? I certainly think so. I do think that there's still a lot of headwinds, a lot of macro stuff we have to worry about, but signs are showing that we are improving, and that is important, and I'm focusing on that. So, all right, what else is there? Well, of course, the main big topic, I don't know if this is a main topic anymore. A lot of you guys are probably sick of hearing Terra, sick of hearing about Do Kwon. We know about the collapse already. We know what has happened. Terra has forked. We have 2.0 and Terra Classic. But somehow, Do Kwon wants to get some stuff off his chest right now with this company called Coinage, right? You would figure he could talk to anyone, all right? Anyone. He could call up CNN. He could call up Wall Street Journal, whoever he wants, CNBC, right? Could have done a 60 minutes, whatever. But I don't know why he decided to go this route with Coinage, and Coinage is trying to promote some NFT thing too with this interview. But anyways, so it's I was trying to digest this before the stream, and there's just a lot, Obviously, some of the things that were expected that came out of this interview. First of all, Do did not believe that this could ever happen. He went all in on this, and he said that at times he was, cocky or too much confidence. And now, in hindsight, seems super irrational, of course. When things are up, when Terra was close to 100 billion, of course, his confidence was sky high, which is why, he lashed out a lot of people on Twitter and inappropriately sometimes, right? And now he recognizes, well, that was a mistake. Here's an interesting thing. One of the things he said was there's not too many people that are live with this type of experience. But it's like over the past 5 years, I just live and breathe Terra. There's a continuation of that. And what he meant by that was there's not too many people alive that survived a company that went from 100 billion to zero. So basically, the only people alive, I don't even know if there's any. I can't even think of, large Ponzi scheme kind of founders that had their Ponzi schemes collapse on them. Because there's not that many that had 100 billion to zero. Now, not to say that I do think Terra was one big Ponzi scheme. I don't think that was it. I don't think he created it for that way, but a lot of the things kind of unraveled like one. But in terms of number of people that created $100 billion companies to watch it to go to zero, there's probably a handful at most in the world, and Do Kwon is one of those guys, right? Now, that's kind of just like a quick summary, but I mean, in terms of the interview, I mean, it's quite long. I mean, this goes on and on and on and on. I'm going to highlight some of these things. I may, in fact, do another dedicated video to kind of digest the bits and details of this, but there are a few things in here that's quite interesting. One thing he mentioned is when the first time, I guess, he noticed, or most of us noticed, when Terra and UST started having problems, especially because Terra UST started to depeg, he mentioned how that was during a time when his executives and everyone else was traveling. And he was like, that can't be a coincidence, right? He saw that there was a large amount of UST being sold on Curb, and it was during a time when he was away and all of his executives were away. So he's like, that had to be some kind of insider job that kind of, started it, right? And many people have speculated. I have too. People are looking at the wallets, looking at transactions. The very first depeg happened because there was a huge influx of UST being being traded on Curve, and it kind of offset things, right? So, I mean, we don't really know. He doesn't really know. He's actually kind of guessing at this point. When I say influx, I'm sorry. I meant withdrawal. But going through here, it goes through day one when it first got to 99 cents. That's when I recall, he talked about, there could have been an insider job. Then as things got worse, what did he do? Well, plan A was to take $1.5 billion worth of reserves, right, and use it to buy UST. So, yeah, we know that happened. $1.5 billion. How did he try to save the peg? Well, by buying UST with the Bitcoin that he had, $1.5 billion, right? Obviously, that didn't work. So then goes on and on and on. Day 3, when UST fell down to 69 cents. So what to do, right? Doesn't know what to do because there's not any funds left to protect the peg. So he started to talk to other people, other projects, try to get a bailout loan of some sort. We kind of know that too, where he was trying to get a $2 billion loan, right? He was going to give, he basically promised them that they can buy Luna at a discounted price in the future by giving him this loan. So he was trying to get that $2 billion loan, but unfortunately, the UST kept collapsing. And because UST kept collapsing, Luna kept collapsing. So by the point where they were finally going to, I guess, get something done, Luna has collapsed so much that these guys just backed out. Why would we want to buy future Luna when we could buy it at a lower price today? So basically, they all backed out. So that was Plan B. So Plan A failed, Plan B failed, right? And basically, they had no plans left. And then the UST DPEG kept going down to 30 cents, and it just kept going on and on and on and on, and you guys know the rest. Now, what's interesting about this is there's a lot of backstory, during this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we kind of know. But he does say that he moved out to Singapore because of his family. He's afraid there's too much controversy, too many people that may be looking for him. So he is still camped out in Singapore. He was asked whether or not he would ever go back to South Korea. And he said he doesn't know. He didn't answer. He's like, authorities actually didn't contact him. They're not asking him to go back. So basically he's like, well, I'm not going to go back unless they ask me to go back, which is kind of interesting. You figure they would be asking him to go back. His counterpart, Daniel Shin, his home has been raided, and a lot of executives have been questioned, right? It makes sense they want to question him. So it's kind of weird that he said that. And also he was asked about, well, what about Terra 2.0? What are the plans? Any dApps, right? And he's like, well, just get ready. There's a lot of stuff coming. He mentioned about how a lot of people think that a lot of developers left. He only lost 2 developers. He lost a lot of executives. But for the most part, the team is still intact, including himself, who is still working on Terra 2.0. So he seems unfazed by this. So that's kind of like a summary here. But in here, it doesn't seem like why he kind of caused that fork. There's some controversy about Terra 2.0, whether or not he needed to do that because he owed tax dollars to the South Korean authorities, right? So that wasn't asked. That wasn't kind of in here. So there's still some unanswered questions, let's say, right? I don't know if there are going to be more parts of this interview. There could be, because this is labeled, episode 0. I don't know if there's going to be episode 1, 2, 10. It's going to keep going. But this is kind of just recapping what has happened the first week of the DPEG, what has happened, and a little bit about Do Kwon and the whole backstory, right? So I don't know if there's going to be more. But that's it. I kind of skipped over. I just kind of covered some of the important stuff there may be, I may be looking at this more in detail. So if I do, I'll be coming out with another video. But as it stands, we still have Terra Classic, Luna Classic, I should say, and we still have Luna 2.0, Terra 2.0, and I have no idea what's going on with either right now. So, yeah, it's just a bad situation. And honestly, this kicked off so many things. This kicked off those Capital's downfall, which kicked off Celsius's downfall, which kicked off Voyager's downfall, which kicked off, I don't know, there's other failures, all because of this. It's a very unfortunate thing. Very unfortunate thing. All right, so moving on from there, what else is going on? Kevin O'Leary recently said sacrificing Tornado Cash was worth it for institutional adoption. Now, generally, I would agree with assessment like this, but the way he put it, I don't know, sounded pretty wrong, pretty bad. So it was, to quote him, at the end of the day, it's okay to arrest that guy. Why? He's messing around primal forces of regulation. We have to sacrifice him. That's okay because we want to have some stability in the institutional capital. Okay, so I mean, basically, he's saying we need a downfall guy, right? Someone to put the blame, and we have to just sacrifice him, who's one of the developers of Tornado Cash. It's okay because it's better for everyone else, right? But what if the government decides to arrest Vitalik or arrest someone else as a fall guy, right? You can't just say, okay, it's okay to arrest this guy. It's fine. We need someone to sacrifice, and then everything will move on, right? So I don't know if that was the right way to put it. I could see how shutting down Tornado Cash is important for the government because they don't want transactions they can't follow. They don't want illicit activities happening, right? Money laundering, all that. I get that, but I don't know if the founders itself, you could argue maybe this was intention, but maybe they just wanted to create something that you know, a way to anonymize your transactions and who you are. Maybe that was their intent, not for illegal purposes, but of course there's some people that used it for that way, right? So it doesn't mean that they were actually set to create something evil. So I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. But Tornado Cash is pretty much dead. The DAO was shut down. The GitHub code, everything was removed, right? So a lot of people are not happy about that, and they're wondering what to do next. So that's the latest with Tornado Cash. All right. What else is there? Peter Schiff throwing charts now, getting desperate, trying to make people, again, still stay out of Bitcoin for whatever reason. I mean, he just had his bank taken away from him. So, I mean, he should be very unhappy with the government and should be supporting a decentralized network like Bitcoin. But instead, now he's throwing out charts and saying, oh, watch out for this and that and this, right? You know, support will be tested below 10K. Watch out. Like all the other times before where he claimed that Bitcoin was going to go to zero and claiming it'll have another 50% drop when it was at $33,000, right? I don't know. I guess just what he does, how he gets attention on Twitter, because his Bitcoin tweets definitely get a lot more attention than his regular tweets, right? But you figure at some point you gotta come to the light, right? Especially what happened to him. I mean, who wants their bank to be taken away from them? Who wants their money to be taken away from them, right? So, anyways. All right. As for people that actually have come to light and do believe in Bitcoin, the ex-president of New York Stock Exchange does, and thinks that everyone should have some Bitcoin in their portfolio. And for simple reasons, for simple reasons that I have mentioned and many other people have mentioned, basically, Bitcoin is scarce. There will only be 21 million. So, unlike everything else out there that doesn't have a set supply, why would you not want to buy something that's scarce and also that's trusted and censorship resistant? So this is important. And also something that no governments or banks around the world controls. That's important. No one can shut down the transactions or stop the transactions. So These are important things, and he agrees that everyone should have some Bitcoin in their portfolio. And he probably has a large bag for, I'm pretty sure, for saying this. Also, the Mooch is saying that there will be two things. Well, he told CNBC, two things that will prop up demand for Bitcoin short term. Long term, he's a long-term Bitcoin bull, but short term, what can bring the entire market up? One thing that has nothing to do with Bitcoin is Ethereum. He's actually saying Ethereum is bringing a lot of attention to the space. The merge is bringing a lot of money and people into this space, and that could definitely cause a market rally, which would be different than all rallies before, because then that means it's not led by Bitcoin. It's actually led by Ethereum. Ethereum-led market rally, which would be very interesting, something that we have really never seen before, right? So that's number one. Number two is BlackRock, and I've talked about that too, right? BlackRock being as big as they are, getting institutional investors involved, that could be absolutely huge, and they have been making big moves, right? And one wonders if yesterday's meme coin pumps were due to BlackRock. I don't know, because Shib and Doge just pumped up crazy yesterday, right? Out of nowhere. So maybe BlackRock was buying. Who knows? But BlackRock have so much money, so much influence. So yeah, you figure they can definitely help bring a lot of money and new clients into this space. But probably for themselves, they've probably been accumulating for a long time already. So yeah. So I agree with these. These are two short-term things. But long-term, we know Bitcoin still very healthy. Fundamentals are great. Things are still improving, right? Still on track. Here's one, just kind of measuring Bitcoin's top and bottoms with Fibonacci levels and where we are now, right? Still looking pretty darn good. And here's another one that's measuring another floor, EMA 600, right? And you look at things like supply last active, which means the holders that's been holding for 5 to 7 years. Not at all-time high, but keeps increasing. 21-month high, close to 1 million Bitcoin, has not moved in at least 5 years. Think about that. It's quite a lot, right? So these are great things to look at. And, of course, the number of addresses continue to go up. People that are turning to Bitcoin more and more each and every day. And miners are certainly not going away either. So these are great fundamental things that is still happening right now. Lastly, just a few other things. I did mention Shib had a huge 30% spike yesterday out of nowhere. There's still a lot of exciting things on Shib, but unfortunately, we're not able to hold on to those gains completely. A little bit, but not completely. But one wonders why, if it's really due to that game that was released in Vietnam or something else that's brewing behind the scenes. Not sure. Monero rolls out more privacy features with their hard fork, which is interesting. I mean, it's already pretty private, I guess, chain. A lot of people do use Monero, and they have just enhanced even more privacy features. So that's good if you want to use them. This is interesting. 145,000 ETH was just moved. So this was kind of like a ICO purchase that has not been moved since the ICO, and it just moved, and people are wondering if this person plans on dumping 145,000 ETH before the merge, because what other reason is there to kind of move it before, right? Or why now, right before the merge, right? So it could happen. But, on a grand scheme of things, if all of it was dumped, I mean, it's about 280 million. So obviously it'll have a little bit of effect, but seeing how big Ethereum is right now, it's not going to cause a massive dump, right? It'll probably cause it to go down a little bit, but not a massive dump. But one wonders why this is happening right now, and no one knows. And then lastly, I talked about this already, but the stablecoin on top of Polkadot, right? Kala, AUST, was depegged in a major way because someone found a vulnerability and minted it like 1 billion more. And that's why. But luckily, I didn't know how far down it went. So this shows you on KuCoin, there is an AUSD USDT pair. That stablecoin went from $1 down to 6 cents, 5 cents. That is a huge drop, and somehow it's back to 90 cents. But so whoever hacked Akala basically just dumped it all on KuCoin. Imagine picking up some at 5 cents. That would have been a pretty good buy. But it's surprising that it didn't collapse. The whole thing didn't collapse like Terra. That's a huge depeg. But anyways, the Akala, the project, is still trying to investigate what happened. So hopefully they can prevent it from happening again. All right. That is pretty much it. Let's see. I talked a lot this morning, but that's okay. Bitcoin is at 24.1. U.S. markets is recovering. That's not bad. That's not bad. Home builders say U.S. is in a housing recession. Yeah. The National Association of Home Builders dropped 6 points to 49, 8 straight monthly decline. I hear a lot about housing decline and weakness, right? But I don't know. House prices are still really high. Really, really, really high. So maybe demand softened a little bit. But in terms of like a housing recession, I don't know. Maybe it's just where I live. But anyways, all right, let's do some Q&A. I gotta scroll up here. I don't know why that scrolled down so much. Let me turn my screen here. Why do I give attention to Peter Schiff? Because people like to pay attention to Peter Schiff. That's why. People like to see him turn. They want to see him turn into a Bitcoin bull. But it seems like that's not happening anytime soon. No more about Luna and Do Kwon. I'm having PTSD flashbacks. I'm sorry. I thought a lot of people will want to know because it's a kind of big deal big deal what happened, and he's breaking his silence. But he really didn't say much outside of what we already know, other than he suspects there's some kind of insider thing going on, and he's still in Singapore. Interesting enough, he named his daughter Luna, and he says he's going to stick with that name, but he probably hasn't seen them in a long time because he's hiding out in Singapore. All right, scrolling down here. I was at a Neo Patriots. I was at a BlackRock building in New York City yesterday. Did you ask him about Bitcoin? Would love to see Elon shift from Bitcoin and Doge to ETH and Shib. He already holds ETH. He never talks about it. But during his interview with Kathy and Jack Dorsey, he said his largest holding is Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then Doge. Right? So he holds more ETH than Doge already. He just doesn't talk about it. And I do think he'll come around to Shib because Doge and Shib basically, they're the same dog. But I think it's kind of too late for that. I think he has to keep supporting Doge. People would hate him too much if he fell off the Doge bandwagon. At least Peter's son loves BTC. Yes. I wonder if that's like just like a show and dance, like between the two. They do argue a lot on Twitter. I wonder if that's legit though, or they're just putting on a show. Labster wallet is awesome with low fees. Never heard of it, David. Sorry, never heard of it. If ETH merge is successful and gas prices fall to pennies, any fear this will cause some more of other... Okay, first of all, gas fees won't fall to pennies. I think you may not realize that scaling isn't solved at all. It's a little bit faster, probably like 3 to 4 times faster, but it still can't scale significantly. So fees will not fall. And because of that, I think the other L1s will still continue to do fine, and especially L2s will still do fine until they can finally scale, which will take another 4 to 5 years. Let's see. You think Cardano will reclaim $1 after the hard fork? Well, the market comes up, continues to hold, continues to rally, yeah. I mean, Cardano's making slow and steady gains, 55 cents, 56 cents. Can it go up to back to $1? Probably not that soon, but can it keep building upon, 60, 70 cents after the hard fork? Yeah, it could happen. Cardano is like the tortoise, right? It's very slow moving. But you know what they say about the tortoise in the story, right? It's slow and steady wins the race. So that's kind of like what Cardano is like. Chris, videography, appreciate it. Am I holding Goblin Town NFTs? I bought yours a while back. No, I never heard of Goblin Town NFTs. Speaking of I Am George NFTs, I do have another one ready, but I'm waiting for the market to come back a little bit. I know some people really loved it, so I'm gonna come out with another one. It's gonna be a really good one too, but waiting for market conditions to get better. And also, I did say I want to add a lot of utility. Still working on that. The company that I was working with, who bragged to me that they can, whip out this nice site for me, right, in 5 weeks, turned out to be absolutely BSing me. Not only did they not finish, but they're calling it quits. So, still, I guess it's very early. There's still, it's weird that there's no white label solution for NFT creators, where you can have people log in with their NFTs and get a nice page where it shows what they can redeem and stuff, messages, exclusive stuff, right? Like kind of like a white label solution for that doesn't exist. It's still all custom. Really weird. If any of you guys are coders or developers, think about that. That's going to be a big money maker if you could get a white label site like that for creators. Nate, appreciate it. Blockchain domains are where it's at. Unstoppable domains. Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, think about it. For Polygon, I sometimes miss out on this fact, but there's so many NFT projects on top of Polygon. I mentioned about they have a partnership with Coca-Cola, they have a partnership with Reddit, they have a partnership with OpenSea, they have a partnership with DraftKings NFT. They're all on top of Polygon. But I also forget that Unstoppable Domains is also all NFTs on top of Polygon. And there's many others that's on top of Polygon, which is why I'm really bullish on Polygon, because there's so many dApps on board. Polygon is, I think it's going to do very well in the future. Even though they're layer 2, a lot of people asked me before, well, what about Ethereum? Once they move to proof of stake, does that mean it's done for Polygon? And the answer is no. I think they're going to stay around for a long time. Am I a hip hop fan? Have I seen the Notorious B.I.G. collection? Real use case too. No. No. So what's the use case? Can you redeem it for something? Every time you use Polygon, slow and transactions fail. I'm sorry. I think you're just throwing FUD out there because that's untrue. Black Tornado, thank you. I think you are right. Let's see. Edwin, another chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, I have. That's why I think you're BSing. Thoughts on hiring 87,000 new IRS agents? Well, I think that's a good thing. You know, I have a business, obviously, for CryptosRUs, right? Every little thing takes like years for them to come back with right now. Like everything, every little tax thing takes so long. They are so behind. They're looking at taxes still from like 2020. In some cases, I've received some letters about 2019 discrepancies and stuff like that. I mean, they are so behind, it's not even funny. So for them to get a bit more agents to help, I think that's a good thing. And people are fearful, thinking, oh, they're only getting more people to help to crack down crypto. And that's nonsense. They are so behind on everything else. It's better to just have them be more on top of things than drag things on, because you don't want to deal with taxes after like 3 or 4 years. No one remembers what happened 3 or 4 years, right? And you have to dig up all your old stuff. You know, it's a pain in the butt. It's a very big pain. The Notorious B.I.G. collection's representative ownership of, ooh, really? So they're selling ownership into his previous songs. Interesting. Interesting. Mark, you're an absolute idiot. Anyone that says, you know, here's the thing. Anyone that says, oh, I hate what you just said, I'm unsubscribing, they're just attention whores, okay? Like Mark right there. I'm going to help you. I'm going to ban you from this channel, all right? One thing I can't stand are people that are attention whores that say, oh, yeah, I'm unsubscribing. If you're going to unsubscribe, unsubscribe. Don't announce it to the world. You're announcing it to the world because you're seeking attention. Yeah, I will not tolerate that. Not one bit. All right, guys. That is it. Overall, you know, this week will be interesting, right? Bitcoin is still holding above 24,000. We have a few economic data to look forward to, some earnings to look forward to. But overall, I still think the rally will continue and we will see good things this week. So let's see. And I may check out that Do Kwon interview. You guys are looking for it. I'm sure you can find it. I don't know if it's a one-parter or many-part series, but I'll cover that a little bit more in detail as time goes on. All right? Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tonight, 8:15 or 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.